Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this regularly scheduled town council meeting for May the 11th, 2026 to order at 6:03 PM. If you'd stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you watch over our meeting for the people who are here. Give us the wisdom, your wisdom, to be able to conduct the business that we need to tonight as we pray in your name.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Here.
Councilor Arnold,
Present.
Councilor Lanneman is absent. Councilor Miles,
Here.
Mayor Wells,
Yeah.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. Well, welcome to everybody and thank you for coming out this evening. Agenda approval and review. Any changes to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. I'll open up public question and comment. Any person wishing to address the mayor and town council on an item that is not on the agenda is asked to speak their name and address from the podium. 3 minutes is going to be allocated per speaker. But before we go into that, I'd just like to read a statement prepared by our legal representation. On behalf of the town council, we acknowledge the town residents' interest in matters concerning the police department. At this time, the current police chief is the subject of an active and ongoing investigation. In order to preserve the integrity of that process, to protect the rights of all involved, and to comply with applicable confidentiality obligations, we will not be taking questions or providing substantive comments regarding the police chief or the investigation this evening. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation. If and when it is appropriate and permissible to share information, we will do so through the proper channels. We also want to assure everyone that public safety is being actively managed and remains a top priority for the town. Day-to-day law enforcement operations continue without interruption. Appropriate leadership and oversight are in place, and our public safety personnel are fully resourced to meet the needs of the community. We appreciate the public's patience and understanding as the investigative process runs its course. Thank you for your patience and for your continued engagement with the town. Any public comment on any topic other than that? Hello, Maria.
Hi.
Marie Galali, 1104 North Tangerine. Tell me again the status of that new amendment regarding the mansion and public events. It's going to be at a meeting when?
I believe that we're looking at bringing it up at the next council meeting potentially, but there's been ongoing discussion with the mansion owner.
Okay,
So that's the earliest that it would come up is the next
meeting.
potentially.
okay. When will Virginia's Diner open?
You might want to talk to the people working on that project.
So those two things are connected?
They are not
They're not connected. Okay. Okay, the status of the police button for the office in here.
I would have to check with the lieutenant, acting police chief bachelor in the back, but
The status of getting a police button into the office in case somebody comes in, a panic button or whatever you call it. I guess I was told last meeting they were working on it. Today? No.
I have them available.
You have them?
to me, Yes.
Okay.
We meeting with the town manager. We have the last one to throw.
Okay, all right, thank you. My last thing. I wrote this myself earlier today about about us, we the public attending meetings. If we make the effort to attend a meeting, and if a non-resident makes comments, the council needs to be receptive to the comment and not be disparaging because, well, you don't live in town, so your vote don't count anyway. I had a lady today that told me she's heard that a couple times. It's not been recent, but I just want to make the point that people zoom in, they're not here. You don't know who is zooming in that lives on Dewey Robbins, Orange Blossom. You don't know. So I don't think that's appropriate. But this is what she wrote for me. There are a lot of people who live in unincorporated Howey and are impacted by decisions made by you guys. For example, number 2, road issues, developments, etc. Does their non-resident input hold any weight in these discussions? So if they say something they want to be heard and not be told, doesn't matter. So anyway, that's what I wanted to just make the council aware that people are listening that we may not know. And that would hurt. If I was living on, can't think of another road, Pumpkin Center Road, when I spoke and I heard that, I'd be hurt. Thank you.
Andy Everline, 1012 North Lakeshore Boulevard, Howey-in-the-Hills. I have a couple questions. I wanted to know where Griffin Park, the playground, what's going on there? I know they took out a climber because it was dangerous, no problem. I understand that. It was old, it was not in good shape. Now, for months, there are 2 swings for kids that aren't babies. One swing has been gone for months. It's still not handicap accessible, and originally it was. Are there plans for that park?
and I would direct those questions to our Public Works Director, Mr. Cates. But was there any other comment you wanted to make during your
The other
time?
thing I'd like to talk about is the speed of traffic on Lakeshore Boulevard. It's gotten out of hand. I mean, we've seen cars going, I don't know exactly, but it feels like maybe 50 miles an hour. It's crazy. And I just think I never see anybody patrolling anymore. It is so rare to see a patrol car go by our house, and we used to see them all the time. And, I think something needs to be looked at.
Do you want to address that, Lieutenant?
Johnny Batchel, Lieutenant with the Police Department. Ma'am, I waved at both you and your husband while doing patrol. I have radar in my truck. I've sat there 2 or 3 times over the past 3 weeks because we've been short-staffed with the school. So I personally have been sitting on the lakeshore right in front of Lake Hills Academy. I have a black, the Ford. So I've been out there personally, and I've also asked the officers when they swing by to the school to please sit out front and do some patrol. Currently, I've not addressed or seen anybody that was over about 30 miles an hour.
But I mean, it's even down further now.
No, I understand,
The north end of town. I'm talking the north end of
but
town.
I saw you and your husband on the
I
north end of
understand.
town. Right.
Yeah.
So we are through there. Understand, we have 1 officer per shift.
We do have an online. As well.
Well, let's do Mr. Cates first.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, I think Mr. Cates wanted to address before we.
hopefully in the next budget, we're going to try to get some more Parks and Rec money. If we can get the council to squeeze it out for Griffin Park. The swing sets, we have ordered those. We have to order special chains and swings and stuff. We have ordered those for replacement. And I'm not sure what you mean by it used to be handicap accessible, but it's not now.
Playground was built. I talked to the person who was in charge of writing the grant for it. And she said they were not allowed to build it without having that rubberized surface. And that's what was their original.
That's not true.
She wrote the grant. She was there when it was put in.
Well, I can tell you that and we've had this conversation before. I've went back through Google Earth and the town or the county's GIS website and looked at pictures all the way back to 2008, almost 20 years ago. Never. The borders that are in now and the ADA ramps that are on it now were installed by our department.
But, well, you can't get a wheelchair.
The mulch that's there now, according to our FMIT insurance, they have told me as long as the mulch is installed in 2-inch layers, compacted, that it's ADA compliant.
Well,
And we replace it every year. So
they can't and wheelchairs that it will.
and like I said, as it packs down, we replace another 2 inches, then that packs down. So every year when we get it put in and water it in, then again comes ADA compliant. Now, does that mean, and there's a difference between ADA compliant and wheelchair accessible. So,
Is that engineered wood, Morgan?
yes, we have to order.
Does EFW? or
Yep,
whatever
we
they
have to
call it?
order it specially, and we have a company that comes in out of, I believe they're either out of Mount Verde or Ocoee. So we can't just put regular tree bark, tree mulch into it. It has to be double screened a certain size and put in a certain way. And we hire the correct people to do that. So
When are you due to put more new mulch down? When is that year up?
I would have to check it, but we installed it. It's usually around either towards the end of fiscal year or right after the beginning. So it probably went in around sometime September or so, and then it'll go back in again that year. So. And we do it for all three of them, these two up here and the one at Griffin.
Carol Rokey, 505 Mission Lane, Howey. I want to make one simple statement. All of your constituents are watching, we're listening, and we're paying attention, and we expect transparency from each and every one of you. That's all I have to say.
Lynn Huesman, 671 Avila Place. I wanted to thank Public Works and the town for putting the sidewalks to the new ramps that we have. We do a lot of complaining about making sure that things are accessible, but those have been made accessible and it's very nice to see. Thank you.
And they did a nice job.
So you have to come to the podium because of the microphone to pick it up on the recording.
I already tried to avoid that. Good evening, everybody. I have quick questions for Morgan. Leslie Manning, 111 East Holly Street. The palm tree that's down at the park, it looks like it's seen better days. Can you guys check it out and maybe? Yeah, it's really looking bad. The other question I have as far as the base that was in the park originally. Remember we had that, it was kind of like a plastic material, or it was like a smooth, yes. Does anybody know what that was called? Because that worked really well with the wheelchairs years ago. Maybe the original when the grant was done? So that's, yeah, that was so good though. The chairs could really get through that. So the palm tree, the other thing, I want to give council a follow-up with the garbage contract, et cetera. Okay, you guys, everyone was here last week. 2 weeks ago, when I spoke to the garbage guy, I still have not heard from anybody. Okay, and you heard him tell, I'll call you, et cetera. I called our local branch, and they are going to follow up. Supposedly, that was about a week ago. So now we're 2 weeks. And just an FYI as well, they do not, at the local location, they do not have the 95-gallon recycle containers. So they must have to bring them in from some other location. But I just wanted to give you a follow-up, especially when we start to talk about contracts again with this company. They've been really good for me and like I said, my family, but it's just, he was very eager to, to let us know he would follow up and he'd get those cans out, and it's been 2 weeks. So I just wanted to give you an FYI. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Right.
Francis O'Keefe Wagler, 409 West Central Avenue. My question is about the DRC. So I've been to the last 2 DRC meetings, and I thought that the DRC was made up of the town manager, the town clerk, and all the directors of their departments. But I've been here twice to the DRC meetings because I had issues that concerned my little world, my business world. And I was surprised to find out that those people didn't come. We talked about the mansion and the HRMP and events, and the library director who's in charge of events was not here. We talked about traffic and safety and those kinds of things, and the chief was not here. I thought that it was great that both Morgan and JJ were here, because somebody got up and asked a question, who's been here since it was originally written, the HRMP? I think it was Clay. And the only person who was sitting at the table where you guys are was JJ, and he was able to give some background information. So that was fantastic. So having more people is great, but having the directors should be like pretty mandatory, I would think. And I get it. You're sick or you have a doctor's appointment or something else going on, but 2 months in a row, I consider that to be unacceptable. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? We keep getting asked when the restaurant across the street's going to be open. Since you work for the same company, could you answer that for us?
We're working towards it.
You're working towards,
Getting everything accomplished. It's been slow going with the town, so
do you have an estimated date?
midsummer.
Midsummer.
And just to clarify, there's nothing with the town outstanding except for the signing of the parking agreement, which is not holding up the process. But
I meant all along, we've owned it for more than a year and it's still not open. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
if someone online, if we're done in person.
Good evening, council members. Tina St. Clair, 143 East Central Avenue, Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida. My question is, and I brought this up multiple times. I noticed there's even been somewhat of a public service announcement on the town of Howey and the police department's Facebook pages. But the bicyclists continue to roll through the stop signs in big numbers. And my question is, would it be possible to put some of the digital signs on the weekend at the four-way stop here at Lakeshore and East Central that says bicyclists must stop at the stop signs? It's ridiculous. They do not stop.
Thank you for the idea, Ms. St. Clair. We will take that under advisement. Oh, and we have the Lieutenant Acting Chief coming up.
Thank you for your concerns, but currently we do have the digital sign up just a little south on number 2. because a lot of times they come in that direction. We're also looking at when school is let out, we have additional officers having an educational event to try to have officers out there when we have extra staffing. Currently, we're a little low on staffing, but when we do, we will make sure that we plan this event for some education on the bicyclists.
Can I just add something? I think Mrs. St. Clair is talking about on weekends with the large groups of bicyclists
Yeah, yeah.
that come down Central and fly around the corner without stopping at the stop
Yep.
sign. Not particularly on Ms. St. Clair. I don't think you're talking about weekends. Oh, she's muted herself. So
We look to try to address that when we have some additional road patrol that we can, I'm sorry, we look to address that when we have some additional personnel that we can schedule to have visibility out there. So if we do have to stop a large group, we have that availability to stop them and go ahead and educate them and provide them either written warnings if in fact they do not abide by the law by rolling through the stop sign. But yes, we have.
John, yes, you're correct. That's what I was concerned about is the big groups that come through on Saturday and Sunday in the mornings. And I would tell you that if I saw one person stop at that stop sign, I would probably be a lottery winner.
I understand, and we are trying to get our officers visible there. Again, with staffing, we're going to try to address that issue as soon as we can. I will advise.
You got to speak closer to the mic.
I'm sorry. I will advise or ask our officers to make sure they're visible on Saturday and Sunday at these locations that you're referring to.
Thank you. Appreciate.
You're welcome.
Anybody else online?
Okay, then I'll close public comment and come to the consent agenda. We have one item, consideration and approval for the ratification of planning and zoning board officer selection.
I'd like to pull that item.
Do I have a second to pull that item?
You don't need a second.
Okay,
So now there's no consent.
okay. So would you like to deal with it now?
Yeah.
Mr. Town Manager, I asked for some information this morning. What is the duration?
I was not able to retrieve that information. But since Mrs. St. Clair is online, we could ask her. Mrs. St. Clair, there was a question on your tenure on the Planning and Zoning Board and how
As
long that has
chair.
been as chair.
Oops. Hi, yes. I've been on the Planning and Zoning Board since 2016. And I believe I have been the chairwoman since maybe 2018, 2019.
So 10 years and 7 years? Okay.
Correct, yes.
Sometimes you need to have new eyes look at things. And it concerned me. My recollection is that she's been on as the chair for an awful long time. And I'm wondering if we should require a new chair for that particular board. I consider it the most important board in the town. We have some other important boards, but I think this one does the most. I think Ms. St. Clair has done an excellent job during that period. I've attended several planning and zoning board meetings, but I would like to see a little bit of change in the leadership of that board. And we have some very good people on the board. I have no problem with John Huseman coming up to be the vice chair. He's relatively new, so I would not suggest that he becomes the chair. But we have other good members, like Paul Johns is one, and he's been on the board for a year or two now. I'm wondering if we could ask the and zoning board to review their selection.
So, and just as a point of clarification, it's ultimately council's decision. Planning and zoning board is the only board where they do a self nomination from within the board. All of the other boards are council review directly. It's really up to council if they want to push it back to the board or just make an alternate decision within this meeting or a future meeting.
I don't know if anybody else has an opinion, if one way or the other.
I have no problem with Tina remaining myself, but
Mike.
I said I have no problem with Tina being chair. Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Paul Johns as the chair and John Huesman as the vice chair.
Mayor, can I point out what I printed out the section of the code just so I knew because I wasn't familiar with it. And it does say the annual selection shall occur at the regularly scheduled March meeting of the planning and zoning.
Yeah.
And then it's subject to the approval of the town
Right.
council.
Okay.
So that should be the process that's followed.
Yeah, then that goes back to what I suggested.
No,
I'd
I think,
like
I
us to
think
read.
what she's saying, at least the way what I understand what she just said, David, is you don't get an option to name somebody. That's planning and zoning's responsibility. And then we approve them or not approve.
So you
Okay.
can veto it, but you can't
Am I right?
nominate.
Heather?
Is that what
That's
we're?
correct. I was just gonna hand the language down to.
So
That's
veto, but
fine.
not alternate
Once a month.
nomination.
Correct,
I'm not
correct.
questioning that.
Correct.
So am I right then by simply saying that we need to have a vote, an up and down vote as to whether or not Tina Sinclair remains the chair and
Can we do each
Hang on,
position
David, let me just-
separately?
let me just finish. And then that Mr. Hughesman is the vice chair. Is that what I'm hearing, Heather?
Can you do public comment before you vote?
Just 1 second.
Here, let me read let me just read the section so that everyone understands it into the record. So the officers, this is in section 48-3 of the town's code. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall annually select from among its membership a chairman and a vice chairman. This annual selection shall occur at the regularly scheduled March meeting and shall be subject to the approval of the town council.
Which tells me that's March.
And there's no mention in there of any term limits or anything like that.
Right.
I have only this one section in front of me because I wanted to see what the council's authority was, so I'm not aware of of
But
that.
so basically the options are approve as presented by the P and Z recommendation or not and veto it and send it back, but
You
not
mean
to make it.
consider it done.
Can,
Right.
can we do it position by position?
Sure.
In other words, we don't approve the whole slate.
What David is saying that vote separately on
The
each.
chair versus the vice, right?
And my feeling is then once again, we're not listening to planning and zoning. Which has happened.
Most of the time, we listen to them and do what they want.
Let me just bring this back to order. I do feel that Tina has been on it for a long time. She served well. She was on it when I was on it. The only difference between the chair and a regular member is that the chair gets to run the meeting. There's no other benefit to that any more than I have any more benefit than the council members. I think it is also difficult to encourage people to serve on the boards. And if they're prepared to do that and Ms. Sinclair is prepared to continue as the chair, then I think we simply vote whether you want to do that separately or together, and a motion to vote for her to continue as the chair is what I think is on the table.
I make a motion that we approve the selection of the planning and zoning that has been passed to town council
For both positions.
for both positions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is this straight up and down? I know. I'm getting there.
Sorry.
That's okay. So we're looking at both positions to remain in force as they are. Is Mr. Hughesman is he currently the vice chair or he's not?
No, this is
So this
Wagner's
is a
the-
new position for Mr. Hughesman,
To fill the vacancy.
Correct.
which
That's how I view this. It's a vacancy. The board decided on their own, as they should, how they would like to have their chairman and their vice chairman. They've sent us their decision. And come March, they will review who would be their chairman, who would be their vice chairman, and then that nomination comes before the town. I view this just as information. Hi, this is who we have as the chair and the vice chair. Good to know.
okay.
Press on.
Did we get a second?
We did.
Okay. Can I open this for public comment?
Francis O'Keefe Wagler, 409 West Central Avenue. My term was up at the end of March. It was my last meeting, and I was vice chair. We didn't have the election in in March, because it was my last meeting, and we were waiting for the town council to approve the newest member to planning and zoning before that vote was taken. So it was done in the April meeting. At the April meeting, the planning and zoning board asked somebody to nominate somebody. Not nominate yourself. We don't do that on planning and zoning. And Tina was nominated and unanimously voted in again as chair. Okay. Nomination was made for vice chair for somebody who declined it because they didn't feel they had that extra time if they had to step in as chair. And in all my time as vice chair, I have had to step in less than a handful of times, but it was a privilege to do so. And so this individual saw that I did in fact have to step in. Nobody's had to step in for Graham, but so 1 or 2 or 3 times I had to step in for Tina, and that person declined. So then Josh Hughesman was nominated. He didn't say, pick me, pick me. He was nominated and he was voted in. Nobody else was nominated, and he was unanimously voted in by the rest of the board. So I just want to say, where Tina St. Clair is concerned, as the chair of planning and zoning, it was an honor to serve under her. Graham, I think that you feel the same way. One thing that she is able to do is make a meeting happen in less than an hour. Maybe she should come to, to town council. Thank you very much.
Do we need a roll call vote or is it just a straight
I'd
up
like
and down
to
vote?
express my concern that we have an individual that's been on the board for 10 years without replacement, and 7 years as the chair. When I look at the county commission, which does not have a mayor like we do, they rotate their chair every year. You only are a chair for 1 year at a time. So I have nothing against Tina. Tina is a fine person. She's lived in the town a long time. I'm just thinking that it's time for a little bit of new blood there on that board. Like I said, I have no problem with John Hughesman as the vice chair. And he's been on the board for maybe a year. So he's had some experience. with that. And as was mentioned by the audience, the vice chair rarely, if ever, has to control and run the meeting. So it just puts a different touch on it a little bit. I think there should be a change there, and just for the good of the town. And that's my position. The reason I asked to separate the two positions, which the mayor pro tem elected not to do, was because I wanted to vote yes for John. But as it's been proposed, I'm going to have to vote no
Okay.
for both of them.
His name's Joshua, by the way. I think the other thing to bear in mind is that although sometimes we make it look easy when we're running the meetings, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. And Tina, I've seen her where she's had to deal with some unruly people inside of her meetings, and she does that with a lot of professionalism. So I definitely have, like I said, I've worked with her on the board, and I've seen her in action as far as that is concerned. And I think you're right from the point of view, it is a matter of getting through it nice and quickly. Love to be able to do the same thing. So anyway, we have a motion and a second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries
3-1.
3-1. Thank you. All right, we have no public hearing, no old business. So we'll go to item 2, new business, presentation on stormwater management from our esteemed Public Works Director, Mr. Cates.
I move that over so everybody could see the presentation. Thank you, Town Council and residents. Every year about this time, before hurricane season, we bring up the stormwater and stormwater management plan and talk about that as we plan for the upcoming hurricane season. So we do this every year, and this, which was in the packet, the agenda packet, is the same thing we present every year. What I did this year was I kind of changed it up a little bit. So this goes into what is stormwater and explains all that. And John, if you want to just kind of scroll through that, I think it's page 10. And if anybody sees anything that jumps out at you, just let me know and I'll explain it to you. But every year we have the same thing. This just explains why we have a stormwater prevention plan and how DEP regulates what we have to do as far as stormwater. We have to have a permit with DEP. It's usually a 5-year permit. We have to track everything every year and categorize that and keep that in the database. Every 4 years, we have an audit. DEP comes in, sits down with the public works staff, and we go through all the documentation we have to keep. And this is for every municipality, whether it's a local municipality or a county, and even DOT has to have their own stormwater permit through DEP. I think next page, John. I think it is. One more. So that was a stormwater map. Last year we had this long map that I've worked on with our town engineer, Don Griffey. And we've divided the town up into sections, and we have coordinates for all of our stormwater system. But what I did this year is put our stormwater improvement program into this presentation. And there's 2 types of stormwater system improvements. One of them is lakeside capture, and what that does is that catches all the runoff from stormwater runoff from the roads and captures that on the lake side. So on Little Lake Harris side. Most of that is done on Lakeshore Boulevard, North and South Lakeshore Boulevard, but all the contributing roads that come down to Lakeshore. And then the other thing we're going to do is try to do a roadside retrofit, and this will reduce the pollutant load into the runoff from the town roads and improve the water quality flowing into the receiving water bodies. And John, you want to go to the next one there? And lakeside capture, and I'll go into this on the next presentation, which is the last stormwater project we had that ended, that we finalized at the end of last year. And I don't mean fiscal year, but the end of the last fiscal year. And lakeside capture, what we've tried to do is every year is find these inlets, because right now all of our stormwater inlets that are along Lakeshore Boulevard, North and South Lakeshore, are direct right into the lake. There's nothing that treats that water. It comes off people's yards with fertilizers and pesticides in, and everything goes right into the lake. And a lot of those outfalls that are into the water body over the years have been, I won't say lost, but we don't know where the end of the pipe is. Either the lake level is too high and we can't identify it, or trees have grown up. So over the past few years, we've tried to identify those and find out where they're at and the improvements that need to be made. John, if you'll move to the next slide. And this is what one of those water quality units looks like. It's usually like a baffle box. And as the water flows into it, especially if you get high flow like we had over the weekend, or if we get a tropical storm or a hurricane that creates high volumes of water flow, that creates a turbulence in there. It helps filter those out. Some of them have filter media in them that will trap a lot of the solids like leaves and stuff. And then it lets, as that flow slows down, it lets those settle into the bottom. Then we have to clean them out. Next one, John. And this is our program that we've come up with. Me and the town engineer, we've went through every contributory that would go into a certain captured area on Lakeshore and where that flows to and which inlet it flows into. And we got some prices on putting, if you'll see the one says North Lakeshore Boulevard, the linear feet, the blocks that it'll capture. So that's the city blocks that captures that runoff, and South Lakeshore. So there's six blocks on North Lakeshore, 4 blocks on South Lakeshore. Next slide, John. And then this is our roadside retrofit. And what this is as we move forward on doing some of these roads that tie into Lakeshore, where we get that contributing water, we want to put in curbing, and that curbing on this retrofit would be a 30-inch wide curbing. It's like a Miami, what would you call it? Miami curve, which it's like a swell, but it would be out of concrete. And there's trench drains made into that go into the pipe. And then those pipes are corrugated pipe, like would be in a drain field hooked to your septic system. That lets that water set and percolate through that media before it goes into the ground. Next slide, John. And this is what it would look like. So this is actually something that's done in quite a few municipalities. I think this picture was taken in Tavares. And as you'll see, the concrete on the outside of the drive lane of the asphalt, where you have that concrete swell, and then you see that black line in the middle, that would be the trench inlet. And then every so often you'd have smaller inlets to catch high volumes of water. They can't get trapped into that. They go into the bigger inlets. Next slide, John. And this just goes through what type of a catch basin we use, the size of pipe with the slotted drain in it, what the kind of stone would go around it, and the wrapping, the fiber that would be wrapped around that. Next slide, John. And then these are all the areas that we've showed that need treatment. And if you look down at the bottom, If you can't see it, that's $7,500,000. There's no projector to shoot at this. It would have to come through that projector right there. I don't know anything about that. Sorry. They're asking about the projector up here, John, in the screen here.
Yeah, that projector doesn't work. All
This
these
is all
items
available online.
they're all available online in the packet.
So
If you go online.
open-
And if anybody wants to see this, you can,
presentations are all there.
you can shoot me an email and I can send it to you. This is all, so next slide, John. All right, so at the end of the presentation, anybody that's got any comments, you can contact me with my extension. You can go on our website, our new website. This is the hyperlink in the website that takes you right to the stormwater page, and it goes through all the stuff we do for stormwater. Yes, sir.
Yeah, in one of the earlier pictures, it looked like maybe it was a retention pond from Talashay. Looked like a canal.
Yeah, that goes through the whole thing of what a MS4 is, which are multiple sewer system. It's 1M for municipal, 4 S's, so it's called an MS4.
So that water that is lying there goes through a treatment process?
Well, what it does is, in each of the subdivisions, as they're built out, anything that's any road that's dedicated to the perpetual use of the town, and any right of way, any stormwater structures or stormwater pipe that are in that right of way would be the responsibility of the town. So we go out and check those every year. We do it in Talashay, we do it in Venezia. Anything outside of that right of way is still part of the stormwater management permit, but then the responsibility falls onto the HOA.
That's what I was wondering, because I know, excuse me, at one of the meetings for Public Works, the policy committees meetings, that was a big topic. That a lot of these retention ponds and so forth are filled with water, not being treated at all. And they're beginning to have issues with them. And the HOAs don't have the money to pay. And I was just wondering.
I can go into a little bit more depth in that. I've met with both HOAs. I've met with Talashay and Venezia. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, and I think Renee's not here, but I think Councilor Arnold will remember this. Venezia had an issue with one of their retention ponds. And part of my responsibility is to check the stormwater system throughout the entire town. And then if I find an issue or a deficiency, then it's my responsibility who maintains this, whether it's the town or whether it's the HOA. And in this case, it was the HOA. Gentleman had called me and said, hey, the road's flooding. And he started sending me videos, and we were having a very wet year that year. And Bellissimo was actually flooding at points, like up over the curb, the whole road was, and we found it, the outfall into that stormwater pond was blocked. So I met with the HOA, I talked with them, said, this is your responsibility. I pulled up their plat, showed them where it says the responsibility. I pulled up their, excuse me, thank you. I pulled up the, each HOA, each development as they're being built have to pull a permit through St. John's. And in that permit, it explains to them, once it's turned over from the property association to the homeowners association, that permit is relinquished to that HOA. And then it's their responsibility to maintain it. And it's my responsibility to make sure they maintain it. And what I'm getting to is they should, in their covenants and restrictions for their HOA and in their bylaws and whatever they assess for each home, they should be putting money back for stormwater management. And I've seen it, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen where a lot of HOAs don't do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't even know that it's their responsibility. I've met with HOAs all over this county, and a lot of them doesn't know it's their responsibility. So they don't know to put that money back. But, and with them, actually, it was an emergency process. It was emergency dire situation, road was flooding, which affects the town and its residents. Because if the road's flooded and the water's not draining off, it creates base problems on the roads and road issues, road hazards. So I actually went out and I cleaned the mouth of it for them so the water could flow. And then they hired a company. They come in, they did the right thing. They hired a company, come in and cleaned it all out, and it looks good to this day. They've been maintaining it, but they didn't know either. That HOA was so new that they didn't know it was their responsibility. So,
Thank you.
before we go on to the next slide, I did want to bring up.
Before we go on, I have had my hand
Yeah, go ahead.
raised too.
I'm sorry. See,
We spent about $200,000, which was mostly reimbursed by a grant last fiscal year, to do some of the stormwater improvements along Lake Shore. And several years ago, maybe 10 years ago, there's another area that was approved on Lake Shore, basically right next. It's where that little greenhouse thing is sitting. In discussions, you have told me it's that older one is not working as it was designed, but can that one be fixed so that it's working as designed? And do those two sections reduce your $7.5 million backlog of work that you think needs to be done?
the project we completed last year does that will come off the list that I showed into this presentation. The other one I think you're talking about is the one at Central and Lakeshore.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that was done through a DP grant, if I'm not mistaken. We do maintain that. And I've reached out to DOT a couple times because that most of the water and the materials that baffle box catches is collected from State Road 19. That's a DOT road. I don't know. I've looked back through. I don't know if the town ever had any kind of agreement with DOT on that project or if they helped fund it. I couldn't find anything.
It
But
was done a long time ago.
it does. It was done a very
Is that the
20
clear,
plus.
clear one that's right there? By
Yeah,
the parking lot?
it's an educational baffle box. It has plexiglass on it, but I
People were
did.
just cleaning it the other day.
Yeah, we do have a company. We contract with our utility company. They clean it out for us and maintain it, but I've also got in contact with the company that now owns the company that built that. And they have inspected it for us. And there are some parts and they're going to come out and do some repairs on it for us to get it back working right.
Okay, so that basically carries the area from Central up to about 3 blocks along Lake Shore where we've
It does. It goes up to about, I believe it's Holly or a little further up on South Lake Shore and then back up the other way.
towards North Lake Shore.
About Oak or Pine is
Okay.
where it's just the top of the grade coming both ways.
Of it done.
Right. Yeah, there's been two in the past 20 something years.
I just received a note, the baffle box was done 15 or 16 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, somewhere around 20. 'Cause I think it was 09 or something like that. I think it was done about the same time that the boat ramp and all that stuff was done. Right. So that one wouldn't help on this 7 million. I mean, because that one was already here. We don't have that on the plan so that wouldn't take off of any of the 7 million. And these are just estimates. But I wanted to bring up, I'd mentioned just a few moments ago about our DEP permit and how we have to go through an audit every year. And I did want to let the council and the public know that we did go through our audit at the end of last year. Brianna and I sat down with DEP. They had 2 of their representatives come in, went through all of our documentation, all of our files. And it's our 4-year audit report. And there needed some additional information. They went out with me and we walked through Hillside Groves as they were building it in the construction area. And there were some deficiencies we found We have found every subdivision as they're building it, every developer, there's deficiencies you find in their stormwater management, their BMPs, their erosion control. It just so happens that day, and I had let them know, say, DEP's coming. I mean, there's things you need to fix. Well, they didn't fix them. DEP caught it with me. I showed them where they were at. Very transparent with them. Had to go back out. And usually give them a time frame to fix it. They did. Went back out, re-inspected it, took photos, sent that to them. That's really the only thing we were waiting on. And in January of 2026, we got our report back to the town from DEP, and we passed it completely. And I just want to say, as far as I know, first time the town's ever passed it. And I just want to contribute that to, when I first started here, one of the first things that me and the mayor talked about at that time was implementing stormwater best management practices. And because her and John Ernest had went through this permit, DEP told them what they needed to look for, and they did. They changed the permit, got the stuff they needed, but then it was never tracked. Nothing was ever done. So I'll just run through a list of things since 2022 that we've implemented as far as stormwater programs. Public education and outreach. And we do this by having school days at the library. We have the school kids come in, we teach them about stormwater. We have the HOA meetings that I was talking about with the HOAs boards. We have created stormwater brochures that we pass out. We have them up here town hall. We have them at the library. We hand them out at every event that we have. And those include like lawn maintenance for illicit discharge. We have one that I take down to the restaurant and give them. And then we track illicit discharge. We implemented an illicit discharge detection and elimination program where we educate and do outreach, enforcement, and tracking. And for anybody that doesn't know what illicit discharge is anything that goes into the storm system that's not water, that's not rainwater, not stormwater, is an illicit discharge. Someone blowing their grass clippings into an inlet after they mow their yard because of the fertilizers and the pesticides and all that stuff that could be in those grass clippings. We've actually had a couple different major illicit discharges since I've been here. We track those. We got DMP involved with them. I won't go into what those are or where they were, but they were very significant illicit discharge. We contact the property owners. We work with them, and they did come into compliance. We do lot grading inspections on every single family resident that is built, residency that's built, every permit that's pulled, as far as houses, pools, any sheds that go in. We make sure that they have their erosion control put up when they're building a new house. We do construction site visits and inspections. We do enforcement and tracking on all that. We do staff training. We've sent staff to the FDOT stormwater certification classes in the past. We do illicit discharge training with all the staff members annually. We track the number of visits onto the town website. John helped me set that up where we can track all that. Stormwater inspections, we inspect all town-owned and maintain stormwater structures and HOA structures and outfalls. We do a stormwater maintenance program where we go out, any of the ones we find that need cleaning, we clean those, we track all that. And we also have URE that I mentioned, our utility group, that because we don't have a Vactron, anything that needs to be vacked out of those catch basins, and we'll do the same thing to this new one that we built. We'll clean that probably every 6 months just to get all the leaf litter and stuff out of the structure. We implemented a GIS mapping system for the town where we work with the town engineer and URE. It's called Diamond Maps. We do all the overlay. We've tracked every foot of pipe, every outfall structure, every inlet. We take the CAD files from the developments that are being built. We lay that into the map. We know exactly where all the pipes are, where the manholes are, inlets, outfalls, stormwater ponds, everything. And then we do a stormwater management plan like this, where we can work with the town engineer and we try to find stormwater projects that need to be done and how to fund those. So, and we'll move right into that. John, if you want to go to that next presentation. So this is the stormwater project that Counselor Miles was talking about that we just finished up last year. We worked with Lake County Water Authority. We had some town council input and some residents input on initial planning phases. We had initially, and I think Councilor Miles remember this, we had a swell system that was going to go in there. A lot of the residents didn't like that. We started looking at where the wetlands and stuff were and how deep the swells were going to need to be, and we decided that wasn't going to work anyway, so we revamped that design. We presented it to the Lake County Water Authority, and they did accept it into their grant program. John, if you want to move to the next slide. And this is one of the water quality units. You'll see as we go through this, a lot of those construction photos. Next one, John. And this is at for anybody that doesn't know, this is location is at East Pine and North Lakeshore Boulevard, right across from Mr. Trey's house. He helped me. He was very big part of this, intricate part of this. He helped me keep track on everything that was going on down there. And there was some issues with the initial grant we got was for $110,000. That's what we thought that it was going to cost. We went to Lake County Water Authority. They said, okay, well, the grant amount's 110. We put it out to bid, and the lowest bid we got was 187,000, almost 188,000. We worked with the contractor and said, look, we don't have all that money. Just kind of hold off. We went back to Lake County, Lake County Water Authority, and asked them for additional funding. And they did give that additional funding to us to help us fund that. Del Beasley, which is right here in town, they were the contractors that we awarded the project to. That was on August 15th of 2025. That's when we started it. Our projected date to finish was October 30th of 2025. Next slide, John. And as we were going through this, there was a lot of, I would say, difficulties that we found, not only with the funding and trying to get the additional grant money, but John, you can keep going to the next slide. If you see that big yellow box sitting there, that's a pump to dewater the area. And Clay will tell you. So this structure was 16 foot deep and about 12, I think it's about 10 or 12 foot in diameter. So they had to dig this massive hole down there, and they put in trench boxes and everything, but that didn't help. The groundwater down there, because it was so close to the lake, the groundwater was so high, they had to keep pumps running round the clock, had brought additional pumps down, additional well points. And then all of a sudden the road decided it was just going to give way. So part of the road went into the project, and but I have to hand it to Del Beasley. They just kept going. They said, we're going to get this done. We're going to figure out a way. That big crane there is actually what set the structure as we were putting it in the ground. Go to the next slide, John. And even through all that adversity, trying to come through all those, we were able to get it finished just about on schedule. We weren't too far behind that October 30th date. And we had to get with Lake County Water Authority. I had to create this this PowerPoint presentation to give to Lake County Water Authority so they could show it to their board and to the Lake County. I think they even showed it to Lake County Commission board too. So next slide, John. And they also give us, well, I forgot to mention that as we were asking for that additional funding, they not only did they give us the additional funding, they give us an additional 6 months to finish the project, which helped us out a lot because we trying to get it scheduled and trying to get the structure ordered. And you can see this before and after photo here. So they did a great job. There was a lot of stuff that needed to be done. We had to move a light post out of the way. It took, and this is no dig on the power company or anything. They had some issues with some staff, but it took longer to get the pole moved and get it replaced than it did to do the project. So, and so they got the light post moved back in, got the light all working. The first one they put in wasn't the same one. It didn't have the outlet on it for the Christmas light, so I made them replace it. But next slide, yeah. So here's what the project cost, because we did have some change orders on it, and that was all due to the price of the structure. It was a little over $200,000 project. Lake County Water Authority give us a little over $140,000, so the town's portion of that was 59. So I think we made out pretty well. And moving forward, this is what we're going to do. We had to actually, if you'll see just in the photo, if you'll see just pass in between where the inlet is and where the lake shoreline is, see that little spot. What we did was as we were connecting the existing pipe, we found that direct discharge pipe that goes out in the water was damaged. It was broke. And I told Don, I said, we can't connect to this. We got to do something different. So we re-engineered it. We put a bubbler system on the end of it. We pulled it back away from the lake. So this is no longer, even with the water quality unit installed, it's no longer a direct discharge into the lake. And we'll get credit for that when we submit this to DEP through our permitting process. So that's that project in a nutshell. If there's any questions on that or any other thing that was in the packet or in the presentation, just please let me know.
They're not gonna make us put up a sign like that on every block, are they?
Not every block, but if we that's one of the stipulations of getting a grant. If we do another project and we get grant money through them, then we have to put a sign, and that goes for DEP. Everything that we've done with DEP in the past, or if you get a grant through FWC, you can look down there at the water, you have to put a sign up saying who helped fund it and all that. So I tried to make it as small as possible and move it to the side so you could actually see it. But usually these things are put right on the roadside. I knew anybody going down Lakeshore didn't want to see this thing as they were driving, and we don't have that much room in between the sidewalk and the edge of curb anyways. So I just pushed it back off. So it was only visible really if you're coming down the road. So, and I just wanted to mention, usually every year we try to put in for these grants. And that really depends on what I think as far as, because you got to remember, a grant, you actually have to have this $200,000 to start with, because these are reimbursement grants. You don't just get the money up front and then pay for it. You have to spend the money, pay the contractors, put in for reimbursement, get the money back. But we do have a grant moving forward for another stormwater project that's on South Dixie, down in that bottom down there. I spoke about that at one of the last council meetings. So we're moving forward with that project in the upcoming the year, and we'll put that into the stormwater budget also, for what I think that project's going to cost us. And it's not as in depth as with a structure like this, but it will be a stormwater pond. There's some land acquisition that goes along with that. Sean is working with me on that with the property owners and stuff. So, but any questions?
Lake Holland, is it in Venezia? Lake Holland, is it in Venezia or is it in Tallahassee or is it behind Tallahassee? It's on your list.
Look, we don't actually have this conversation. There's on
I think he needs the mic.
Great, I liked holding it.
If you look at Lake County GIS and you try to look at other GIS or aerial photos and stuff, some of them won't call out lakes, some of them will call out smaller lakes. So identifying that, I'm going to have to go back through and look through a lot of the old town maps to see exactly where that is. It's either that one that's on the other side, like you're talking about, or it's what they're referring to that is off of North Dixie. That's kind of that low area because Lake Illinois is the one over here. Yeah, that's the, besides Little Lake Griffin, that's the biggest water body in town is Lake Illinois.
It looks like Lake Holland is in Caluchet, but I was wondering if it's like in the middle of it and there's houses all around it, or if it's like on the.
Look at their plan. I could look at their plan and see, and look at the firm map, the FEMA floodplain map and see what they're calling that Lake Holland. Don Griffey has done a great job of putting these together and knowing where the contributing areas are that were, where the factors are and the most important ones, but we'll just keep moving forward and trying to get grants and doing these things as we can and as the town can afford them.
Lovely sign.
You need the mic.
Thanks. That lovely sign that you tried to, do we have to have that up forever, or is that for a couple years, or when it fades, we don't have to replace it?
The only thing about those kind of signs, if it's part of the agreement with whoever that is, DEP, St. John's, and you don't keep it up, they could always come back and say, well, part of the condition is you were supposed to keep this up. You know, you're not telling everybody we help fund you. We want some of that money back, so. But any other questions?
They do have a little bit of a concern, and I thought I'd get together with you and maybe we come up with some other way of doing the sign. But I'm a little worried about that thing coming through my front door at Hurricane. It's a lot of airspace, there's a lot of metal there, it'll fly. It's not the only one, there's a gigantic one down in front of the boat ramp. I don't know if some of this advertising, some of this information can be put down there, but it's really not that close of the proximity to some of the houses on Lakeshore. But it's a legitimate concern that I have, that thing comes through the front door. Because everything, we've been through all of these storms, we just finished 30 years living in this town as a February. And I've seen it all, and the wind comes from the east, and it blows the hell out of the house, stuff's, one of the hurricanes in 2005, I got out of bed in the morning and went out in the front yard. And there was a 20-foot long pine branch. You can't see a pine tree. I don't know whether it came from Aspetulla or it came down Lakeshore. But sure as hell doesn't come from.
I think your neighbor put it in the yard during the night.
I will say this, I did give that some thought as we were doing that sign and, not saying I'm the brightest tool in the shed, but we didn't concrete those posts in. So no, we did not. So we could always pull that up, remove it before, if we got a storm coming, and then after it's all clear, put it back. So.
Well,
I don't blame you. I mean, the front of your house could be a target. I mean, it's open. You got all the wind coming across the water, so.
Kind of like when the garden club does something down and then they put a marker announcing that the garden club had done this in 2007 out here. It's kind of like a permanent thing that looks good. I'd be willing to contribute to something like that, to keep that thing from coming through my front door, but it's just a thought.
Right.
It'd be flat, it'd be just a monument. I don't know what they cost, just an idea. But
Didn't the sign at Griffin Park go in one of the hurricanes?
The citrus.
The
citrus
citrus
one,
one?
that
Yes,
did.
the citrus side did, and we did have those replaced, and now we remove it. Every time we have a storm coming, we go, 'cause it was very expensive to replace them also, and I think we found one of them. We never found all the connectors. Yeah, I don't think we got both sides of it back. I think we only found one of them, and actually, I think Tina St. Clair's the one that actually give us the pieces back that was holding the sign on, so. All right. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the council?
Thank you, Mr. Cates.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
That was very informative.
Move it back, I can't see.
All right, let's move on to item 3. We need some dates for the budget workshops and
Yes.
hearings.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So looking forward to FY 27. So budget workshops are typically held twice. But there is a potential new requirement that may or may not be passed come,
I think it was signed.
was
I
it
have
signed?
to
Oh,
I'll look
okay.
figure out, but I believe it was signed into
Yeah, it
law,
was.
so
Okay, well then that's
make sure third.
maybe even, I guess it's newer than when I wrote the staff report. So
Yeah,
breaking
the,
news.
the lunch and, Brad Arnold, covered that.
Oh, okay.
At lunch.
Okay, well, thank you for that update. So we'll move forward with that in mind. So talking about this third mandated workshop, the general window of time for workshops is typically July, August, with about 2 weeks in between. And again, that's not a requirement, that's just a practicality. That gives staff time to update whatever's been requested to be updated or researched and redo the packet and post all the information in time for the subsequent workshop. So typically you want a healthy 2 week period in between workshops, generally speaking. So looking at that, if we're looking at July and August, we have the weeks of July 6th to 10th, 20th to 24th, August 3rd to 7th, 17th to 21st, and August 31st to September 4th. Those are weeks that do not coincide with a regularly scheduled council meeting. So if we wanted to have that as a basis, just to kind of spread it around, that's just a starting point of consideration for picking those dates. Also, those dates would be 2 weeks away from each other, being in alternating weeks. Mr. Mayor.
Are you looking to do this in the evening, like after 5 o'clock, or are you looking to do it during the day?
Typically with the budget workshops, we typically schedule those during the daytime. So that's been the practice previously. The budget hearings leading into that, those are required to be not at 5 o'clock or before. So those are traditionally held by most entities at 5:05. People call them the 5:05 hearings. And we typically hold them at 5:05 PM as well when it comes to the two required budget hearings. They may not be held on the same day as the school board or the county commission's meetings. Historically, we have held the second hearing along with the second council meeting in September. That works out. We hold the budget hearing at 5:05 PM on the fourth Monday of September, and then we follow it with the council meeting at 6 PM. By that point in the process, the budget's typically pretty well set. So it's typically not very lengthy. So 5:05 followed by a break, followed by the regular meeting has worked out in the past. Moving closer, looking at the first of the public hearings, you would think we could possibly hold it coinciding with our regular first council meeting of the month, except for the requirement where we don't conflict with the school board or the BCC, and the school board always holds their first budget hearing on the second Monday of the month, our typical council time. So for the first meeting, we usually pick an alternate day. I believe historically, has it always been the Tuesday after it's been different. It's been different. That was only last year. Okay. There are other requirements. Oh, the Thursday before. The other requirements are that the advertisement for the second hearing must be published within 15 days of the first hearing, and the second hearing must be held within 2 to 5 days of the publication. So there's a maximum window of no more than 20 days between the two hearings. So again, usually working backwards. Second September meeting is the second hearing. We just hold it.
So
55
what
minutes.
dates are you proposing for the two?
Yeah. So,
Let's get on with.
so we can hold I would propose the second hearing being the regular second council meeting day of September,
Still
Which-
21 September.
which would be oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong month.
21st.
28th.
What?
Huh?
Yeah, be the 28th.
Oh,
28th.
You're right, sorry, 28.
Fourth. So that would be 5:05 would be the second budget hearing, and 6 o'clock on the same day, September 28th, would be the regular second council meeting of the month. Okay.
And the first one would be on the 8th.
The 8th would put us almost, that's almost too far away per all legal, that's
20 days.
stretching it, well,
You only got a certain amount.
Oh,
of days.
you have 15
The
plus 2 to
15.
5, so it's,
The
that's-
first one, it would be on the 15th.
Why don't you just do them on the 10th and the 24th on a Thursday? I mean, then you could,
I mean, we
you got
could-
your advertising on the Sunday
could.
through the Sentinel, and then everything is covered. That's how I've always done it in the past. I know you do it differently, but it's just an option.
Just tell me when you want.
that would conflict.
Tell us
with
when.
planning. That would conflict.
With
Planning and zoning.
both planning and zoning and parks. But you could maybe do the Wednesdays. You could do.
Wednesday the 9th and Wednesday the 23rd.
9th and 23rd works for me.
Okay, so September 9th, September 23rd, okay.
Okay, good.
So September 9th, September 23rd at 5:05 PM,
Yes.
Wednesdays for public hearings. Okay. And then looking at the budget workshops, obviously we are not constrained, except by council schedule. And just the practicality of giving staff at least two, and we have to have three. Sorry, did I say two? The three. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for
Make it have
misspeaking.
Done by the middle of August.
Yeah.
Well,
Could we schedule?
three
the-
meetings.
Could we schedule the first two, say, on the 9th and 23rd of July, which is the same dates in September?
Just
Make
not
it easier to
during the day.
remember.
I think,
You do- you
well, no,
do
we
it
run
on-
into the Thursday issue where that's conflict, because that's on a Thursday then in that month, and that's conflicting with
How
all
about
the board
how about
meetings.
the 8th and the 22nd? Yeah.
If you do them in the evening, they're fine, but I can't do them during the day.
I don't have a good enough in the evening.
Well, with the
They-
workshops, I'm gonna point out, we typically give ourselves a good
3 to 4
3
hours.
plus hours. So that's
Just
a,
the council meetings going on that one.
well, we're having a regular council meetings.
Can you do it on a Tuesday? Cause I'm good with a Tuesday or good with a Friday.
No.
The 7th and the
And
21st.
Renee doesn't, oh, Renee is Wednesdays. Well, Wednesday during the day, it seems like she's
okay with
locked down.
Tuesdays though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can do them on the 7th and the 21st.
She did the first one 2 weeks. Last week.
Say that again.
Do the first one last week.
Well, for that matter, we could do them on the 6th and the 20th.
It's a Monday. I can't do Mondays. I can
You
only.
can't do Mondays.
Well,
I
that's a
can only
lot to do
Tuesday
in
and
July.
Friday.
And why don't we do
Okay.
one, we could do one thing in August.
Then why don't we do Tuesday, the 7th and Tuesday, the 21st?
I was proposing.
The beach.
And then you can go to the next one. You can either do the 4th or the 11th of August. Then all three are done, as Tim would say, by the middle of August.
We have to do a third one.
Likely, yeah.
Well, no, that is a thing. So that has been passed. So
How about the 4th of August?
Works for me.
July 7, July 21, and August 4.
What time are you proposing to do them, Sean?
like I said, I mean, we've almost, as far as I remember, I think we've held the budget workshops during the day every time just because of the time.
The only thing I would like to ask is we hold them in the afternoon. A couple of those Tuesdays, I have doctor's appointments in the morning.
Yeah, the 4th is not a great day for me. I have a dermatology appointment and I don't always look great after that. You may say I don't look great at any time, but
We don't mind if you have a couple actions.
Oh, it's way more than that.
You say you're okay on Friday. How about Friday the 7th then?
Well, I think we also got to consider staff as well. But would it be so bad to do it on the 11th? I mean, you still got a full month before you're going into your hearings.
Well, I don't think, I mean, even holding that last workshop, as long as we have a minimum 2 weeks free and clear before the first public hearing, staff will be fine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if we did the 14th and 28th of July and the 11th of August.
Now you want to do the 14th and 28th?
So you want to do them the day after a council meeting?
Well, no, do the 7th and the 21st, and then you got 3 weeks. I mean, hopefully we're gonna have this thing wrapped up by then.
So July 7, July 21, and August 11.
And August,
That will be
August
my,
11th?
that will be my,
As far as I know, that works fine. What time do you want for these?
1 o'clock with you provided lunch, John.
John's gonna cook.
Because if we're going for 4 hours, we need sustenance. Is everybody good with those dates?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
So just to reiterate, so this is 1 o'clock for each of the 3 workshops with lunch. And it's going to be Tuesday, July 7th, Tuesday, July 21st, alternating from council meeting weeks. And then the third one, Tuesday, August 11th is what we were saying.
Even better.
Okay, so that's 2 weeks in between, which is sufficient for staff to,
Which dates did you end up?
July 7th, July 21st, August 11th. So that's
Okay.
a Tuesday, 2 weeks later Tuesday, 2 weeks later Tuesday, 1 o'clock for each one. And those are weeks in between council meeting weeks. So that's less pressure on staff and it gives staff time to implement any changes. Then moving towards the end, we have almost a month, not that we would need it, but between the last workshop and the first public hearing. First public hearing would be September 9th, which is, just to be clear, that's a Wednesday, and
Right, but
September
that's at the end of the
23rd,
day.
Wednesday, and those are both at 5:05 PM.
Right.
Okay, Wednesday, why wouldn't she be doing Wednesday?
The second budget hearing is September 23rd.
Those are all Tuesdays.
Yes.
She's okay for any other day besides Wednesdays with limitations. Okay. Sorry, we were just clarifying Council Lanneman's limitations on schedule, but she should be fine with that as well, based on the notes that she left with us. I'm sorry, was there some other change that I missed while I was?
Well, the only thing I think
Sidebar.
John was saying is if she's got a problem on Wednesdays, is she gonna be able to do the budget hearings?
She's okay until she's busy from the morning to the mid-afternoon.
Okay.
After that, she should be fine. Yeah,
That's fine.
so
All right,
5:05.
so
will
we
be
done
fine.
with that? Everybody good? All right, let's move on to the next one then. Date selection for the downtown wastewater workshop. We need to do that.
That's the one with the 50 ERUs, is that?
Yes.
what we're talking about?
Yes, that's correct.
So I think-
That now,
Yeah, every day.
every day it gets smaller.
So that one needs to be done sooner rather than later.
Yes.
The 19th, I have a problem in the afternoon on the Tuesday. And I have a problem on the 26th. I've got my twins' graduation on that day. If you want to do that again during the day,
Can we do it on the morning of the 19th?
yeah. 19th and the 26th, or you can go to June 2nd. Couple of weeks.
26th is the town council.
Yes.
Yep.
Of May.
Yes.
We
Yes.
moved it, is Memorial Day on Monday.
Memorial Day is
So
on the 25th.
19th,
Then.
19th isn't, from a staff perspective, I think we should be all
No, I
available
can't.
for the.
Not good for me.
I
Oh.
can't do the 19th.
19th is not good for you.
So what about this Tuesday, the 2nd.
Tuesday, the second.
You good with that, John?
Morning is not good, but
No,
afternoon's
we'll just do it
okay.
in the afternoon. My wife's gonna kill me when I'm using up every single day that I get to spend with her, so. At least I can, huh?
Yeah, bring her along.
That should look
Love
bad.
it.
That's what Tim Curry
She'd
did.
rather watch paint dry.
That's what I was thinking.
So we're
So
going with
June
June.
2nd seems to work
Am
for,
I attending that meeting?
Yes,
1 PM on
for the
June
wastewater.
2nd.
I'll have the memo to you about the mandatory hookups.
I think that was our main legal question was the
Yeah.
distance and the requirements
In
for
advance.
hookup, but I think beyond that, it really,
Okay.
What was the legal question?
the legal regarding wastewater, there was a question on distances and mandating hookups, and that was something that the attorney was gonna
Right.
resolve for us. But beyond that, I mean, my initial thought would be it's really more of a policy approach after we get that legal piece of information on how the council wants to proceed in terms of acquiring it, mandating it, letting the free market have it back, whatever the case might be. I don't know that we need the attorney in.
Okay.
Workshop.
Is June 2nd okay with the attorney at 1 PM?
No, I actually am not going to be attending unless you all want me to attend, but I was saying I'll have the memo to you in advance for that meeting.
That's fine.
Okay,
So June.
I'm okay with
2nd,
June 2nd at 1.
1 o'clock again.
1 o'clock.
Okay. So then we move on to item 5,
Planning.
strategic planning. How are we doing with the strategic plan, John? Do we need to give you another few months?
No. Pick sometime the week of 15 June.
Well, and just to clarify, is this a one meeting?
No, no.
So-
Okay. What my intention is, bring it in. Actually get it distributed beforehand. We meet, them included. Whoever in the town wants to meet, gather inputs. Anybody wants to make happy and glad changes, fine, but rather just have bulk inputs. Go back. Put it back in. Man, probably trying to get back before the end of the year, fiscal year. Might be tough because of all the other meetings. So have that probably late September, early October, a final meeting. Again, it will have gone out for review beforehand, and that will be the meeting with the council. And we do the happy to glad bit and we're done.
Well, let's get through the first meeting first then
Yeah.
and then see.
And your intent is to have resident input, John?
Oh, yeah, gotta have it.
Well, I think so,
Gotta
but I
have it.
just
I mean,
wanted
I-
to make sure.
I mean, I don't have any problems, but I'm telling you, I'm not the most, I'm not the most visionary of guys. I'd have made a great Roman centurion, but you wouldn't want me to be your.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure
Be
that
the
the
emperor.
populace would get a chance.
No, they need to, because that's where we're gonna get the
Well,
ideas from.
let's first off get something, whatever you've got draft wise, to the council so we can look at it ahead of time. Let's have a meeting with the council.
Sure, when you want it for the
And
council.
then we'll have to play this by ear because to my knowledge, we've never done it before. So we've got to, we don't know what John's going to present either. So
Oh, you don't.
So, and I'm not trying to overload any plates, but sometimes the fewer separate meetings, the better. Do we think that the wastewater workshop is going to take more than an hour?
oh yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Killing me.
Yeah. And I got news for you.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna miss that one.
Okay, I tried.
And even if you did say that would only be an hour, do you want to try to hold strategic planning afterwards?
Okay.
That better be John Brock, better be bringing.
Threw it out there. I threw it out there. So what are we throwing out for dates for strategic planning then? The initial strategic planning meeting. Kickoff.
We've used up most of the Tuesdays.
Well, how, just give me a date in June.
23rd.
Oh, that's too far out. How about the 16th?
I can't
Yeah,
make
that's
the
bad for me.
16th. That's bad for me.
All right, 23rd.
The 23rd.
23rd doesn't work?
23rd, all right.
23rd, good, 23rd, good for you?
23rd, I'm the one that suggested.
Okay, it's good for me.
The day after our town council meeting?
Sure, why not?
Well, we don't need to, there's not a packet per se to prepare for it, so there's not any pressure on staff.
What are you thinking? 3 o'clock?
Mm.
Oh, no,
1
let's
o'clock.
make it.
You want to do, I mean,
What time for you?
doing it when we're hangry, we
Either
might do lunch
I
for that
or
one too.
Michelle has a doctor's appointment at 11 o'clock in,
If you wanted it tonight.
no, I'm just saying that
2
we have a
o'clock? 2
doctor's
o'clock?
appointment
2
there.
o'clock? I
Um,
give you enough time?
Oh, yeah, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Okay, so 2 to
2
5
p.m.
potentially, okay.
2 to 7.
Okay.
2 to
And
7.
that's June,
I know you
and
guys.
that's June 23rd, just to be clear, that's Tuesday, June.
And
23rd.
just so you know, I'll probably bring in the plan, but I'll be sick, so you can go ahead and have all the fun you want with it.
How far in advance of that meeting are you going to send something out to the council to have a look at? We don't want to be hitting this.
So we hit this the
Line.
23rd?
Yep.
At least a week before.
Yeah. 15 June.
Oh, to send out, right,
Yeah, we'll just electronic transmission.
draft, send out.
Format. I would probably like to send it Microsoft Word, but do you need it in a specific, does everybody have access to Microsoft Word? So
I
if
know.
it pops up and okay, just occurred to me, I don't want to send it out in the format and people go. I
There
don't
may
have
be
that.
different versions, but I think everybody has it. Okay, we're good with that. Item 6, good for time. Discussion on the electric franchise
This
agreement.
is something that I asked to put on the meeting tonight. You had a little precursor of the shock at the last meeting. I wasn't there when it was thrown up. But back in March, Sean and I met with representatives from Duke Power. They currently have a franchise with it, which expires in May of next year, 12 months from now. In that meeting back in March, I had no idea. I said, how much would it cost to put our electric underground? We require for all new subdivisions, but the portion of the original Howey has had problems in the past. When Hurricane Irma came through back in 2018, I think it was, 17 or 18, parts of Howey were without electricity for 18 days during that time frame. In addition to that, I've lived in my current house. I've been in Howey for 9 years now, but I've lived in my current house for 3.5 years. And during that 3.5 years, Duke Power has run down my street twice and butchered every tree in my yard, along with all the trees on Route 19 and in everybody else's yard. Now, the companies that did it under contract with Duke didn't do it for free. But at the meeting, I said, I have no idea what it would cost to underground this. Could be 2 million, could be 200 million. Can you tell us? And the letter that was disclosed at the last meeting by the town manager showed that they provided an estimate, if it was done with them, of $25 million to underground all of this. And I remember about 10 years ago, when Winter Park asked the same question of FPL, who was their provider. And they decided at the end of about 2 years of arguing among themselves to set up a municipal utility, and they estimated it would cost about half of what FPL gave them as a price tag. I only mention that because I think the real cost is somewhere between 10 and 15 million, because I think that initial estimate is shot. One of the other things we discovered during that discussion was almost half or slightly more than half of the new houses that we've approved to be built in the next 5 years are not in Duke Power's franchise territory. They happen to be in Seaco's non-franchise territory. We do not have a franchise with Seaco. It hasn't hurt us bad because I think there are only 3 properties in the town.
So if I can just add a little bit of information on that.
What she told us at the meeting.
So we are getting a check from Seco for the 1, 2, 3, we're getting as if we had a franchise agreement. We've gone through our records to see if maybe we did have one in place. We haven't found anything. Our attorney's standing in the wings, ready to prepare
Right.
that. And I've also reached out to Seco to say, is there an old agreement that maybe we're operating under, but we're clarifying all those points with Seco.
Okay, I'm glad you're telling me that
Didn't the
now.
lady also say
Now,
that we?
Can
no
I
choice?
finish,
Yeah.
can I finish my discussion and then we can talk about it? We need to get a franchise agreement with Seco. Otherwise, we're relying on their goodwill to collect, and we may have as many as 2,000 houses that are connected by Seco in the neighborhoods that are to the south side of the town primarily. So that was a good thing that came out of that, was discovering that we needed it, and the town manager has asked the town attorney to begin work on negotiating that. Yeah, unless there's something from 30 or 40 years ago. But with us negotiating with both of them, that provides us the opportunity to address the problem that I mentioned at the front of this, which is we're at the mercy of the weather, and we're at the mercy of Duke Power now to keep our trees. Matter of fact, they butchered the ones, if you've looked at the border going into Mission Inn, they've butchered those trees so bad that most of them are dying. And they've butchered the trees throughout the town. If we could put the electric underground, it would be a cost saving there. And also it would provide us not an absolute, but a lesser chance of having electrical problems as our periodic hurricanes come through. Okay.
Localized.
Right. And it would significantly, in the case of Seco, increase our revenue that we're getting, not only from the franchise fees, but we're also getting revenue from our public service tax, which they should be complying with. Are you sure the money they're sending to us is in fact not public service tax instead of franchise fees? Because it took me 3.5 years to get you guys to find out that we were actually receiving most of our money through propane taxes, even though you were putting it all in the natural.
And
gas.
we will take a look at it. Our current receipts are about $22 a month, but we'll clarify, which category it is, so that by the time that turns into bigger amounts.
Well, lines under the seat.
Well, but again, being very, very small, the number of units coming
No.
through in the future.
Yeah, now I had take 2,000 times 22, that's 44,000 a month. You want to laugh at that?
According to what they told us, David, correct me if I'm not wrong, we can't change.
No, we can't. We can't move what we currently have with Duke Energy to Seco, but you're saying that some of the others,
I didn't ask us to do that,
right?
but I did say we need to get a franchise with Seco.
I agree with
And
that.
there is the opportunity when we're doing that, that we might be able to negotiate some effort by them to put our utilities underground.
That's the bit we're stumbling on, David, because she said pretty much categorically, if you want it done, then they'll do it, but we have to pay for it. And what was it? 15 million, 25, 25 million.
But she said, if we go through FPL to do the work, it would be about that. What David has said and what Winter Park, Florida obviously did was they decided we'll create our own, we'll get the work done. It didn't mean changing anything from Florida Power and Light being the providers of the electricity and stuff, but they created their own utility. And then they got to tell the folks in Winter Park they knew all they had to deal with was the city of Winter Park.
Yeah, they
For their
they were
electricity.
they were able to get it done for much less than FPL quoted them. And they spread it over, I think, a 10-year period of time.
But they were
And-
maintaining their own utility then?
They
And
formed their own. utility.
they formed a municipal utility to do it. I'm not saying that we formed, I think there are many different things that you could work out on this, but there are certain times that are primed for doing that. This next year is the time, if we want to deal with those two utilities, now is the time to do it.
And who knows in the future, if the
Now,
town builds out, maybe we join with Tavares.
I think that sounds wonderful from what she told us.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
non-starter with Duke Energy.
It's
But
not, I don't see it happening.
But the
Seco's not gonna pay 25 million to bury our lines.
No, they're not.
To get business that they.
Well,
that they-
but she
I didn't
also
say
said
that.
She also said that Seco cannot do that
Right.
because it's in their jurisdiction. But coming back to David's point, which is a good and worthwhile point. See, you've got electricity service tax,
Right.
and you've also got franchise fees, both coming in from Duke Energy, and therefore electricity service tax is something that Seco have to collect, and they have to send that on to us. The franchise fee side of it, of course, I believe is negotiable, and that's the part that
Sure.
David really wants to get, because one of them is mandatory, the other one is a negotiated thing. It's the same as, for argument's sake, GFL. We only get a franchise fee on our commercial. And in Astatula, they get a 10% franchise fee on every single residence. So it is within side of the negotiation.
Yeah, currently we get 10%, which is the statutory maximum on the public service tax for electricity. We also get 6% from Duke in our negotiated, which was extended for 10 years back in 2016 for our franchise agreement with Duke. I'm almost willing to bet you won't find a franchise agreement with Seco, and that $22 a month that we're getting is probably from one or two people for their public service tax,
I think, and it's.
which
the one
they
entity
do.
It is for
after we-
Contours Landscaping is the one built
So how
entity
many,
in that district. And it's that franchise fee on the check.
so
But-
how many houses, how many of the new homes that are currently not yet built fall into Seco's?
It's going to be
Jurisdiction.
Watermark, which is now going by Stonehill. So Watermark,
300,
Mission Rise,
400,
I
that's 700,
think Whispering Hills Heights. falls
that's
under that.
850.
850.
That's
And
156.
maybe half of Hillside Groves.
Really?
which is how
Think-
many?
So
350 more.
350.
So about 1,200 units in those developments.
Okay, so 1,200
Well,
times.
off on the how the map zigzags a little bit, but that's
Say
roughly what
that
you're
was a
looking.
franchise fee, that
$22
$22.
for the business for the landscape company that's there, but
My bill is not that high and it runs about $20 a month for me.
6,400.
And we have to go with Seco though,
A
right?
month.
In those areas.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a fairly substantial revenue stream there. And with the growth we're projecting, the possibility of negotiating and you don't have to go through Duke to do the construction. The contractors that are putting up these developments are not, they're not contracting with Duke to do it.
No, they're doing it themselves.
They're doing it themselves and then turning it over to them. There's a lot of possibilities in that area that could really serve the people in original Howey and serve us as a whole in the city by having all of our electric utilities underground.
Which like we've also said is something that would be nice, speaking of someone who lives in Venetia, I would love to have natural gas eventually be provided.
Yeah, I don't understand why we don't require that
Yeah.
of developers, is that they provide natural gas. We have a pipeline that runs right down 19.
And I mean, natural gas, a good advantage of it is A, cooks really like it. B, you have a tankless hot water heater that
Oh, yeah.
cuts down your electric
So-
bill.
and they were invited to discussions with all the developments for several years, but because it wasn't mandated, it never got beyond
And
that
so
point.
why don't we mandate it?
I got cost for the old section Howey. 350,000.
Excuse me?
350,000 for to pipe it.
That's not bad.
Because, well, but you'd be going from Croton north.
Okay.
So you 350, so you then suggesting that we mandate people have to hook up with it?
South already.
Because I don't want it.
No, I don't.
On the
this
east side
I
of
don't-
town.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, I had some people ask me what the cost would be. And I met a guy from, what is it, Tico or whatever,
Yeah.
at the conference. So I said, hey, how much would it be to put it in the whole old Howey? So he sent me a quote.
Okay. So let's go back then, because the only thing realistically that we can do anything about in this discussion, because I believe the Duke Energy one is not, from what the ladies were saying, is not even an option. If we believe that we are getting a franchise fee from them, if we don't have a franchise agreement, that's something we need to put together.
With Seco.
But if we are getting a franchise fee, then equally we should be getting electricity service tax fee as well. And we want to check to
Right.
see if we actually
Clarify all
it
that.
may,
with-
may
with
be on the
Seco.
same check. I don't know, but
Yeah, so we'll
Because
clarify that
it's
with Seco, but I think to partially where Councilor Miles is going with this is, at the very least, the town is in a good position as we review the Seco agreement or renew it or create it. There's a chance to negotiate franchise fees with that and also to update that with Duke at the very least.
Yes. And now is the time to talk to them, because my experience in negotiating these in the past is the electric companies love to have long ones. FPL used to negotiate 30-year ones. Ours was 10 years. The latest one with Duke. I don't know the one prior to that. They did an amendment 10 years ago to the existing one to extend it until May of this coming year. But the opportunity to discuss with them doing things positive for the town is now. And we can consider during our budgetary process whether or not we're going to see a large increase in as these units build out in revenue from our public service tax and from our franchise fee, particularly if we get a franchise from Seco also. And in doing that, we might be able to get it done on the cheap to put it in. It's just a matter of how you talk with them. Now, are they super anxious for a little town which now only has 2,000 people, but 5 years from now is going to have 6,000 people? Are they going to be real anxious to do anything? No, they're a regulated monopoly and they're bored to tears, and that would be something out of their normal.
We talking Duke here or are we talking Seco here?
Hmm?
Are we talking Duke?
Probably both. Seco is a very large electric co-op.
Right, but Seco are starting with a blank sheet of paper. So I mean that's an easy way. I mean,
Can I ask the attorney a question when you're through?
yeah, I would have thought that Seco in this day and age, all their lines going to those subdivisions probably would go underground anyway, wouldn't they?
Well, the new ones are. I'm talking about putting the old ones in.
Trying to figure out a way to get 25 million down.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can get it down to 10 million. We still don't have money. What with our issues with water and wastewater,
We got a lot of other things on the plate.
It's a different situation than the water and wastewater. And we're dealing with regulated monopolies. And my question is, can we adjust the service areas between the franchise? In other words, I don't know how, the one thing I don't know is how Seco got its territory and how Duke got its territory.
With the Public
ISPA
Service
thing.
Commission.
They,
It's regulated.
okay. Is it possible for us to compete them against each other
No.
through the Public Service Commission?
No, their territory is set through the Public Service Commission. I don't know how the town would have the ability to amend their territory, and Seco serves inside its area.
Mhm.
Duke serves with inside its area, so I don't know how you would even use the two to play off, because Duke is going to say to you, we're serving here, so we can give you 6%. And if you say, well, Seco, well, they'll give us
Okay.
8%. So Duke will say, okay, great.
What Winter Park did is they took the third alternative, which is they set up a municipal
Right.
utility and did it for much less than FPL was quoting them, like half.
Now, what I don't know the answer to, I was thinking about when you were talking, was if you could use Seco to put lines, their group to put the lines underground in Duke territory. Now that I don't know the answer to that. Because I think you can do whatever you want to do with your lines. I don't know how the two would play off, but I don't know that you're going to make.
Why would they?
Why would they? Why would Seco do that
'Cause
when
they
we
can't
have the
connect the
franchise with them?
I know,
anyway? Doesn't, there's
I don't know
no,
that they would do
it
it
would
for
be crazy
less,
to do that.
because what I was thinking of when you were talking about saving money, I don't know that the difference
Just-
would be.
Just so you know also, if you do eliminate, electricity on those poles, there's also licensing through that you also have to then go back through with Comcast
Right.
and,
There's what now?
telephone and Comcast.
There's other wires on the.
Other wires.
Okay.
Them something like piggybacking or something. I don't even remember what it
But
was
they,
called,
they
but
have a contract with them to use those poles. So even if the electrical wires go off.
I understand, but there was a competing cable company that ran cable underground through
That's Comcast.
our community.
They're owned by Comcast.
That's the same company.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
So-
And company.
I don't think it was Comcast.
It wasn't. It was Century Fiber, then it was Quantum. I think now it's Comcast. Yeah.
That's, there's
But Comcast had bought it, is what you're saying.
No. Century Link, and Quantum are the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Comcast, because their customer
Right.
service was so poor, rebranded to Xfinity.
Yes.
But that is the same
Still
company.
there.
They just changed their brand name because they literally had the word.
There are two cable companies that run cables in my front yard. One of them is on the pole, and that's Comcast, and that's which now calls themselves Infinity. That's who I get my service from. There is an underground cable which is run by Quantum.
Right, that's-
And they're the ones that are soliciting us to change it. That's the telephone company upgrading their wires so they can compete with Comcast. Because do you remember when I used to get service through a telephone company years ago, and their bandwidth was so small that it was annoying? You were forced to go basically to Comcast or to a satellite for your TV purposes. But right now, we have the opportunity, if we don't want to stick our heads in the sand, to look at electricity. My goal would be to put electricity underground in all of Howey. We already have it in the new subdivisions because we mandated it in our code. What's wrong with putting it in, particularly if we can use this opportunity of negotiating these franchises to pay a large portion of it? Now, one other thing, Winter Park, when they went to a municipal utility, they ended up having to buy the existing infrastructure that they had, and they went through a process of doing it. They didn't pay a heck of a lot for it because it was in lousy shape. They were having service problems above and beyond the issue of safety and the issue of messing up the environment by cutting our trees. I'm throwing it out there. I think it's time to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's try and close this out then. If you can ensure, Sean, that you check on where we are with the franchise agreement for Seco, and then we'll see if there's any other meat we can put on the bone. I don't know whether there is with Duke. She was pretty emphatic when she came in last week. I think you were actually off the call.
Yeah, he was
Partway through, I think you were,
That discussion.
oh, before you
Yeah.
even started. Okay.
Yeah, so but she was pretty emphatic that yeah, we do it if you want us to, but you pay, and there was no other way. We questioned her pretty thoroughly on trying to get a way around it, and there wasn't. So
There's gonna, I think there are still a couple outside the box paths. So for example, we were talking about
Yes.
the length of the agreement. You might not be able to get much more with franchise or switch the territories or play anyone off of each other, but a 10-year term versus a X year
Yes.
term with the guarantee for them to work on undergrounding it over a certain period of time is still something.
The disinformation you got last week from her is the same approach that FPL did to Winter Park. I watched it on the Orlando Sentinel, as a matter of fact. I watched it over because I subscribe to that paper. Don't like their editorial policy, but I subscribe to it. And I watched it over a several year period. It took them 2 or 3 years to get it done, but they have a much better system now, more reliable, and it's going underground
But I
year
mean,
by
this
year.
is a good time for us to sit down and look at what it would take as we begin to experience this growth. And I think the 10-year idea is probably better because 10 years from now, this town is going to be a lot bigger than what it is today. And I think if I hear David right, now's the time to begin to do the groundwork to put that in place. We're having all of the electric cables, maybe the
Underground.
all the cabling to get it underground, which would improve local service. Naturally, it's not going to impact any of the big wires coming in, but Venetia, we rarely have any electricity problems that
Yes.
see. I mean, when we do, it's because it's something way upstate.
Right.
All right, let's move on because we're already at just gone 8 o'clock. Department reports. Do you have anything for town hall or town manager?
Anything for town hall, Mr. Brock, before I jump into town manager?
They're included in the packet.
Awesome. Thank you. For town manager report, I do have a few things actually. So thank you to everyone who participated in the town's 101st Founder's Day this past Saturday at Griffin Park. We had a great turnout. The weather held up. Thank you specifically to all the departments of staff. Really put together a fantastic event. The RFP for the 12-inch water main construction project will be out this week. Next week. Okay, next week. The town clerk just corrected me.
Excuse me, is it this week or next week?
Next week. Thank you. I went to the meeting, the BCC meeting regarding Cedar Creek week before last week at their last meeting. There was a push for the county to make the developer get a rescission to revoke the contract. Rescission, thank you. That would to revoke the contract that the developer had with the town for annexation and utility provisioning. I attended that meeting. The town stood on its own rights and interests, and the county stepped back on trying to convince the developer to push that any further.
When you said that there were people from the area to the west of our town that were pushing the county commission to push the developer to rescind their agreement with us.
And
the county
many of the
backed away
commission
from that.
Yes, the commission had been pushing that the month prior when the topic came up. But I wrote a letter and I went to attend and I spoke up, and they have backed off of trying to prevent the town from annexing and serving the Cedar Creek development. So
Okay.
that's no longer on the table.
Well, temporarily.
Well, that is true. Sorry, skipping ahead. Oh, and last thing is we just received, while this meeting was happening, we received an urgent update from the St. Johns River Water Management District. They issued just barely 2 hours ago a phase 3 extreme water shortage order today during this council meeting, and Lake County is included for the portions located within the district, which would be us. The order is effective immediately. The practical impact for our residents is that landscape irrigation is now limited to 1 day per week. So odd numbered address is Saturday, even numbered address is Sunday. Non-residential properties on Tuesday, no landscape irrigation between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. The district's order also states that wasteful and unnecessary water use is prohibited, and all water users are encouraged to reduce use and conserve water as much as possible.
Is phase 3, does it work downwards? There are two more stricter ones.
First is phase 4.
Okay, the worst is phase.
There is a phase 4 in the northern parts of the St. Johns River Water Management District. So Alachua County in phase 4 is considered the worst ever drought that has been seen historically in that area.
10 years ago, the water levels in our lakes here in Lake County were far lower than they are now. And we weren't in a phase 4 then, or a phase 3. What are they up to?
I know we're 25 inches below the amount.
So
Well, so I still have the memo my notes from the memo. They said, for context, the district's findings point to serious drought conditions, including groundwater monitoring locations in Lake County and other counties showing levels at or below the 10th percentile currently. And the U.S. Drought Monitor designated Lake County and the other affected counties in extreme drought conditions. So the staff will be pushing this out through the town's normal communications channel as soon as possible. Like I said, we just got this now. And we'll coordinate internally with Public Works and other affected operations to ensure that we are following the order and reducing water use where feasible.
So you say it's 1 day a week?
1 day a week.
How long?
until there are
No,
changes.
no.
They have not.
How long can you water for?
I will have to double check
I
and
mean,
read.
if
It was
you
a
have 1 day
20-page
week, can we
order.
put it
Yeah.
on 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I just have the highlights because that was a 20-page document, so I'll be sending that as well.
Which of the 2 days? Right now, I'm an even number, so I do Thursday and Sunday. So will I
So
drop
even numbers
Thursday?
Sunday.
The even numbers will do Sunday.
Odd is
No, it's
Saturday.
just Saturday.
And non-residential is
Just
Tuesday
Tuesday.
for those that affects.
But it doesn't say how many hours.
I will have to review the 20-page document. I'm just kind of hitting some highlights here. So we will share that with everyone, and the district has indicated that a public news release will follow later tomorrow. And it's going to be discussed at their governing board meeting tomorrow during their hydrologic report. So the main message is, please conserve water, avoid unnecessary water use, and limit your irrigation to the new 1 day per week schedule. But we will push that out through all the means that we have necessary.
We'll
or
be
available.
dead.
Well,
We'll be dead.
Crispy.
I can tell you that in Venezia, they wrote up, I don't know, 80 odd people for their lawns just the way they were at this moment in time, which they've now rescinded because not only can you not do that amount of watering, but you can't afford that amount of watering. I mean, it's crazy the amount of money that it costs just to keep your lawn semi good. So if we only go 1 day a week, man, that's got to be a lot.
I can tell you, we took our puppies along on the trip and they hated the gravel out in Arizona and Utah and all those western states. So if we become a western state with no grass, your doggies don't like to walk on
well,
the gravel.
I will say too, there's a lot of people in the non-development areas in town that don't have irrigation systems and
Yeah, but they don't
have
have
long
always,
roots.
they don't have always the grass. I mean, if you got
don't.
a hair of grass, it'll come back
That's true.
from anything. That's what you got on all of the right of ways, but Zoysia and particularly St. Augustine, you got no chance. Anyway, anything
Thank you.
else? Council Mayor Pro Tem Everline, do you have anything?
Yeah, it's my understanding one of our police officers is on light duty. And on April 30th, the Thursday, I happened to be driving by Town Hall late in the afternoon. She was up on a ladder putting up decorations. So
What sort of decoration?
the stuff for Founder's Day and things. So I don't know. I don't know if that's allowed on light duty. I'm just throwing that out.
I will double check that. I know there's different variations. It's often limited to lifting things, but that does seem like it would normally fall outside the range of. I will check on that.
Thank you.
That it?
Yeah, because I can't talk about something else I'd like to talk about.
Understand. Councillor Arnold, do you have anything?
No questions or comments.
Councillor Miles?
I have two items. Number one, in the report from the code enforcement officer, it states that the code enforcement officer is going to retire, I understand, in June. And the public works director has suggested that when the new individual is hired to replace him, that he be used for other functions in addition to code enforcement. And I have a little bit of a concern there. I mentioned it to the town manager. The function he would be doing for public works, which I think it's a great idea to add more duties onto that position. Are we going to be able to find somebody that can do both the inspection function and the code enforcement function? How feasible is it to do that?
If I can speak for Mr. Cates real quick. Mr. Cates is a certified trainer for stormwater inspectors. So I'm pretty sure we can find someone to train for that. Would that be a fair assessment, Mr. Cates?
Isn't this coming up at a future council meeting as well? I mean, this.
It's, well,
I will say this, not only am I a FDEP certified stormwater management trainer, in the past, including the existing code enforcement officer we have and the previous code enforcement officer we have, I have both sent both of those to get stormwater certified. And the reason being is because a lot of our stormwater management ties into code compliance. And so, and Matt, most recently, Azure, when she was certified, she helped me do a lot of illicit discharge because that's code compliance. But Matt got certified, and he has actually been helping me do.
How much time do you estimate in a month is spent on that stormwater inspection function?
Right now, it's is not as much. We do some stormwater inspections of our stormwater management system, but moving forward, because I want to try to transition out of, with all these new homes coming in, doing the lot grading, which is tied into stormwater and BMPs and erosion control. Matt has helped me. I've trained him how to do lot grading inspections, which we do get paid for through the permitting process.
Are there other, what I was leading up to? We have long suspected on the council that that position was underutilized. Are there other tasks that could be assigned in addition to stormwater inspection to the position, in addition to code enforcement and stormwater, so that we can more aggressively use that position?
There is more stuff that code enforcement does. They do all of our tree permitting. So when somebody wants to take a tree down, they have to get a tree permit through the town. He goes out, inspects those trees. Sometimes I go out and make a second look. If they don't have an arborist report, if they don't pay for an arborist to come in and inspect that tree, then the town itself inspects it. If we deem it's a public safety or hazard to the resident's house or any of that nature, then we tell them, well, by all means, here's the permit, take it down. Also doing fence inspections. He does all the fence inspections in town for any single family resident that puts up a fence. So there's multiple things
So
that,
there are multiple things. So with this individual, is it your plan to assign the code enforcement officer to the public services?
these are, he's already under me.
Okay.
Yeah, that was done last
The
year.
new guy will work.
Would continue.
Because I know it's hop, in the last 4 years, it's been in 3 different
Yes,
places.
so this new person would continue to be under Public Works, Mr. Cates, and we
Okay.
would be adding to these variable work.
And I
scopes.
say, in the past, at least 5 years that I know of, it's common practice for a lot of the code enforcement officers. I know when I left the county, we were having code enforcement officers dual trained, so they knew how to do stormwater inspections and be trained for that, because in every municipality, once stormwater inspections are made, especially when it comes to illicit discharge and BMPs, HOA compliance, stuff of that nature, when it leaves everything I can do, then it has to be turned over to code enforcement
Okay.
anyways.
Can you provide to the council a list, a job description and a list of the functions you plan to assign to this position in the future?
Mr. Cates has been working on that, so we're actually reviewing that currently, so we
Yeah.
can certainly provide.
There's already been a job description. It's been sent to John just to make sure it's formatted rightly,
Okay.
to town standards and.
And to the mayor's point, I didn't want that to get lost. So the mayor was asking if this was going to be a council discussion or decision moving forward. So because it is an existing staff position where we are expanding some of the responsibilities, it's not necessarily something to be brought to council unless council feels very strongly that they want to discuss the future of that position.
That position has been a subject of discussion on multiple occasions. That's why I ask, because I appreciate what you're doing and I think it's a good idea. I just think the part that was in the report didn't indicate to me that it was adding enough additional work to the position to keep that person fully occupied.
Well, I'll say once these development gets underway,
They'll be busy.
that they're gonna be a lot of work for them to do, especially after I get them
Yeah.
trained and stuff like that. There's a lot of work for them to do.
One final question, this is the last one, is the fishing pier number 8 with its ADA compliant sidewalk complete?
Complete.
Beautiful.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Alden.
Any other questions from any counselor before I sit down?
I have, no,
Okay.
I have nothing myself other than to reiterate the town manager's thanks to all the staff, Public Works, PD, and all those that not only work to same thing. Why do you always have to argue with me? For goodness sake, you know what I mean. All of those that both planned the event and also executed the event and cleaned up after it and all the rest of it. I was there. I thought it was extremely good. It was very successful. People had a lot of fun. It was darned hot. That was the only thing. And love bugs were a real pain. But other than that, it was extremely good. So that's all I have to say. Anything else for the good of the order? Or
Motion to adjourn.
we are adjourned at 8:24.
I'll tell you what. First, I have found another group that has difficulty staying within its published time, and that's my small group meeting on Mondays for Bible study. They were able to take the book Jude, which is